Let us help you reach your peak in retirement. It's time for Retirement Elevated with Sean Lee.
Welcome into another edition of the podcast. Thanks for tuning in with Sean and myself as we talk investing, finance, and retirement here on Retirement Elevated. And we're going to talk about the desire to retire as the end of the year is winding down here, as this will be our Christmas kind of final episode of the year. No matter what level you find yourself at, we're going to go through a couple level breakdowns of where you might be on the urge to retire. Definitely have a conversation with a financial professional no matter what, because I think the overarching theme is going to be having a strategy will help you, kind of decide no matter what level you're at, what's the right time, what's the good thing for me. So that's the topic this week. Sean, what's going on, buddy? How are you?
No, it's freezing, man.
Yeah, that's what you were telling me. Chilly. Ready for Christmas?
Yeah. I think we're ready. We're trying to get out of the cold, and we'll head down south for a little bit.
Okay.
But no, man, I'm done with winter already.
Yeah, and it just started. Yeah. Well, it's hey, for a lot of retirees, that could factor into the desire level, right? It's like, all right, I'm going to be a snowbird, or I'm getting the heck out of here, or whatever the case might be. So that could be another factor that goes into it. But yeah, this is a couple weeks before Christmas, so we hope everybody has a happy holiday and all that good jazz. So let's talk about these. Let's break them down a little bit. I got the first one, Sean, that many people I know actually fall into this one. You might be in this category yourself. We'll see. But the level one person is that I love what I do, and I'm truly blessed because I do love what I do, and I just don't see myself retiring. That's awesome if you're there, but you still need to think about some things.
Yeah, I mean, you love your job until you don't, right? And something happens.
Or until they don't love you anymore.
Yeah, or, a change of leadership or a change of management or whatever it may be, or something happened in your own life where you're like, I love my job, I love working, but you know what? It's just not as important as it was because of X, Y, Z in your own personal life, whatever. But if that's the case, if you're the person that says, hey, I'm going to work until I die. I love my job. I love the camaraderie. I love the social aspect. I love all. You should probably still plan.
Yeah.
As if you're going to retire at some point, because the camaraderie of your friendships, your friends are probably going to retire at some point. Your health is going to change.
It may decide that you're retiring, whether you love the job or not, right?
Right. You may become physically unable to work, and you want to have a backup plan that if you're unable to work, that you're able to go and still live. We've got perfect examples. We have a family that we work with. The husband had a stroke. He loved his job, very, just at it every day, and had a stroke and went on disability. Now he has the choice if he wants to go back to work, but he's like, yeah, you know what? There's more important things in life than the grind every day. We're going into an office or going to work for somebody else. Like, I have the funds. Why don't I just retire?
Yeah. Yeah. So, whether you love your job or not, and that's awesome. Again, if you do, that's fantastic. So if you're this level one person and you love what you do, still just have a plan. Still have something in place in case, Murphy and his law and whatever shows up, and just has different plans for you. So level two, let's go to that one. That could be the, I guess I could retire. The job pays well. I don't hate it. Let me keep kind of feathering the nest, so to speak. Nothing wrong with this. My brother's in this, Sean. He's 65. He could retire now, but they're letting him work from home. The pay is good. It's very easy for him to do. And he's like, hey, as long as they keep doing this, I'm cool with it. But if they ask me to drive and go back to the office, I'm probably done, right? So maybe that level two person, they can find themselves in a similar situation.
Well, like sticking with the status quo. It's, all right, I like my job. I'm going to continue to do it. It's the thing I've always done. Finding an advisor is hard. Building a plan is hard. I'm getting paid pretty well.
Right.
All those.
It's just easier. Yeah.
It's just easier to continue to work. But same thing with level one. Like, at some point, you've got to make the decision that being financially free is important to me. Mm-hmm. And with this person in level two, they don't hate it, but once again, they may. And if you take the time and you build a plan, and you have a clear understanding of how your assets are going to be used and what money is going to be used for what and how you're going to create income and so on, all those things that an income plan has, it gives you that added sense of, all right, now I've got all the power. I've got the ability to retire. I know how I'm going to do it. I know when I'm going to, or what I'm going to do in retirement. The job then becomes more of a hobby. It's not a requirement for your life. And once you have the power, you have the freedom to choose what you want your days to look like. If you choose to stay at work, cool.
Yeah.
But if that changes and you want to retire or you want to have more freedom and flexibility, you should probably have a plan on the back end that allows for you to do those things.
Yeah. I just had an 80s kid flashback when you said, once you have the power, and I just kept hearing He-Man, I have the power. So if you're an 80s kid, you definitely get that reference. If you're not, never mind. Just keep going. So that's level 2. Okay. So let's go to level 3, Sean. I think this is probably most people that come to see a financial advisor for the first time. I'm guessing that level 3 and 4 are probably going to be most folks when they come in to get some help. And level 3 is that I'd like to retire in a couple years. I'm hoping I'm 3 to 5 years away, but I just truly have no idea if I can even do it.
Yeah, I mean, this group of people has a limited sense of clarity when it comes to planning.
Right.
They're starting to think about it a little bit. They're starting to wonder what retirement would look like. They're starting to envision it, but there's no plan or process on the back end put in place to ensure that it can become a reality. It's that, oh, I'd love to be able to go to the Bahamas, but I don't really know if I can financially. Well, build a plan, build a saving strategy, build a plan to do it.
Right.
But what most commonly happens, and I met with a person this morning that they've saved their whole life. And they're like, I want to retire in 5 years. I just don't know if I'm going to be able to. Well, once you start to earmark things and you start to build a plan and you start to look at, if we put this chunk of money here, we put this chunk of money here, we put this chunk of money here, clarity starts to rear its head, and you start to be able to see, well, wow, the things that I want to do in retirement are either going to be your reality or they're not.
Yeah.
And having that clarity will allow for you to say, well, I'm going to go from having no idea if I can really retire to a yes or no answer. And unfortunately, some people don't want to know that yes or no answer, so they just kind of stick their head in the sand and they just say, I'm never going to retire, so I'm just going to work forever.
Yeah, and again, kind of to my point initially, no matter what level you find yourself on here, whether you're 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, love the job, or all the way to the other end and hate the job, having a strategy and a plan is going to help you kind of figure out, no matter where you're at, if I can do this or not. So if you're level 3, like most of us are, I'd like to retire soon, but I just truly have no idea. That's why you got to come in and sit down and have those conversations with a financial professional. So, and that's just really the crux of the conversation today. And so level 4 then, Sean, would be, you can kind of see how these are incrementally moving. The next one is that person who's like, yeah, retirement should be in another couple of years, but it looks better and better all the time. If I went in to see an advisor and they said, hey, you're good to go, I might go, I might pull the trigger and retire. So.
Well, the world has changed dramatically in the last couple of years.
Right, for sure.
COVID and remote work and, lack of wanting for people to work, whatever it may be. But, COVID and then the government changing interest rates and the economy and the markets and a lot of different things happening really changed a lot of people's perspectives, myself included. Free time is extremely valuable to me. And, spending time with the ones I care about and love, that's more important. And I think that as we saw this mindset shift happen, that this person that thought they would work for years and years is now starting to shift their mindset into saying, hey, you know what? That freedom may be appealing.
Right.
And how can I retire sooner to control my time and to control what I want, the things that I want to do and the areas that I want to make an impact in life, rather than, I like my job, I think it's great, I don't know if that I'll retire, to, man, I can make a dramatic impact in a lot of people's lives or in a lot of areas if I have all that time.
No, that's a great point. Absolutely. And that's where the strategy comes into place, not to beat that horse, but that's truly the point of this podcast for sure, is to kind of highlight that throughout the different levels. And so with that said, we'll just finish off with the with the one that I mean, dude, I hate this job. Like, get me out of here. Like yesterday, right? That's that level 5 kind of person that comes in to see an advisor. Have you ever had somebody like that, Sean, who's come in and said, I'm so miserable. I'm beyond miserable. Please give me good news. I got to get out of here. You know,
This person is dangerous.
Yeah.
To their own well-being.
Okay.
Because they're like, they've reached that tipping point.
They make like a rash decision.
Yeah. They're like, I'm out. Forget it. I'm done. And
I don't even care what happens.
they don't have a strategy to create income or to, there's no plan as they walk out the door. And it's like, well, let's get to work, I guess.
Yeah.
Not knowing if retirement's actually a reality or not. That's a dangerous spot to be in, is allowing yourself to get to the point where you're so emotionally charged up that
good point.
You're going to leave or you're going to quit right on a whim without any strategy put in place.
No, that's a great point. And hopefully, right, before you've gotten to this level, you've decided to go ahead and take a little action. And again, there's nothing wrong with, I think, people who do have the calm to go, I'm not an idiot. I'm not going to walk away. But man, I really do need to retire like ASAP, right? So that's when, okay, good. Well, you're here. Let's get the work in. And many people come in to get that first analysis, Sean, and they find out they're in better shape than they thought. You know, oftentimes anyway.
The media and financial marketing does a really good job of saying you need to have this super high level of dollars, this super high level of assets, whatever it is, without really taking into account each and every person's unique situation. So the math usually presents itself and says, hey, you actually don't need as much money as you thought you were going to need. If once you start to segment out dollars and once you start to create a purpose for the money that you have, the plan usually comes together and people are surprised, like, oh, wow, I can do it off of this chunk of money, and then the rest of it is just for fun, right? So having a plan put in place, and it's funny that as we're talking, I'm thinking of Mike Tyson, and he's like, everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face. Yeah. Well, that's happening right now in our economy.
Yeah.
And
2022, as this year's winding down right now, it's slapped us around good.
Got punched in the face, right?
Yeah.
And as long as we stick to our plan, our game plan, hopefully we can get out of the fight.
That's right.
Successfully.
We got punched in the face. That's right.
Yeah.
So, sorry, Mike. I'm just kidding.
You better be careful.
Right. Exactly. But yeah, I mean, he's actually mellowed quite a bit. I saw an interview with him not too long ago. It was actually pretty interesting. But anyway, no, it's a great point, though, right? So you've got to have that strategy for no matter what comes at you, and waiting to the last second, especially if you're this level 5 person, is certainly going to cause you more trouble if you act impulsively. Doesn't mean you can't still get it done, right? But you've got to get started. You've got to put the effort in. You've got to get onto the calendar and talk with somebody. And so I know this is the final podcast of the holiday season here, but if you're catching this, don't let that be a deterrent from reaching out to an advisor and having a conversation. If nothing else, just get onto the calendar for some time in the new year, which is also going to be a great time to get started because we're all going to do some sort of resolution or goal or something like that. So reach out to Sean and the team at elevatemyretirement.com. That's elevatemyretirement.com. Don't forget to subscribe on Apple, Google, Spotify, whatever podcasting platform you like. And you can find us again at elevatemyretirement.com. Sean, thanks for hanging out and talking about the desire to retire. I know you've got the desire to get warm, so I'll let you get going here in a second, but I hope you have a great holiday.
Hey, thanks, man. Merry Christmas to you and your family.
Absolutely. You as well, and all of our listeners. And we'll see you next time here on Retirement Elevated with Sean Lee.
Investment advisory services offered through Elevated Capital Advisors, LLC, and SEC Registered Investment Advisor.